Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for a URC quarterfinal between the Bulls and Benetton. Now, these two sides only played each other a few weeks ago, and that contest, a massively high-scoring one. In the end, the Bulls scoring over 50 points, Benetton getting themselves 35. So if that game is anything to go off, this is going to be an extremely high-scoring quarterfinal. The way that the table finished for these sides, of course, the Bulls finishing second, Benetton finishing in 7th, which did mean that they booked themselves the spot up against each other in the quarterfinals. Munster at the top of the bunch. They have already beaten the Ospreys. The game's taking place just a little bit later on tonight. Leinster versus Ulster, as well as the Stormers taking on Glasgow in what promises to be a very entertaining fixture. But looking through, first of all, at the starting lineup of the Bulls, seeing as they were the top qualifier in terms of out of these two sides, they do get themselves the home quarterfinal. Gerhard Stennekamp in the front row alongside Johan Grobbelaar and Wilco Low, Ruan Vermaak and Ruan Nokia. Now, Nokia actually scoring the last time that the Bulls did take on Benetton. Nassim Carr, Elric Low and Cameron Honeycomb will make up the loose forward trio. Ambros Papia and Johan Goosen as the 19 combo, with Harold Foster in the midfield alongside David Creel. Now, of course, these players that make it through to the quarterfinals or to the semis will not be eligible to play up against the Welsh. But if for some reason the Bulls were knocked out here, David Creel's name's going to be right up there in terms of possibilities of a Springboks call-up. He has been absolutely sensational throughout this season. I do hope a green and gold kit is just around the corner for him. Kurtley Arendse, he managed to score himself plenty of tries the last time that these two sides did go head-to-head. Sebastian de Klerk out on the other wing. No Kane Moody for this game, who did manage to get himself a hat-trick the last time they went up against Benetton. And then also Willy LaRue had a solid game last time that these two sides collided. He'll be hoping for just that again. Looking through at this Benetton starting lineup, it is Thomas Gachot, also Bernasconi as the starting two, and Ferrari as the number 3. They have got quite a few other decent options in terms of that 4-pack, but one in particular who I'm looking forward to seeing is Mikel Lamaro. I don't believe he played the last time that these two sides went head-to-head. They actually had Kanoni in that loose forward trio instead. But they have got Halafihi starting as the 8, no Lorenzo Kanoni in the starting lineup, so that might be a little bit of a concern for Benetton. But their backline, of course, has got plenty of talent. Urin and Albanoz as the 19 combo. Malakai Fekitoa, of course, the Kiwi/Tongan, going to be there at 12 with Juan Ignacio Brex on his outside. Mononcello offers plenty of pace. Reino Smith is like a bull at the back. And then you've got Onisi Ratave, the Fijian flair, out on the other wing for Benetton in this game. But looking through at the chat, we have got there, Hamish, where's the beer? The beer is not on hand. I have got water down there, as we have got 3 games of the URC taking place back to back to back. Of course, we're covering all of it on the channel. We have got there, Hamish, I've been waiting for you. Says Nick and Kurtley, a hat-trick today. Says Justin, if the Bulls do not win, we'll feed our pet ostrich to our crocodile on the farm. Well, let's hope for your ostrich's sake that the Bulls manage to pull off the victory. Huge, huge, huge game. Another epic weekend, says Arthur. And yeah, quite a few of these games have involved sides that have played each other recently. You know, Leinster versus Ulster, an Irish derby that hasn't been too far away. Hamish, if I came to New Zealand, would you buy me a beer? I have no idea how old you are, Manny. So if you were 12, then definitely not. Or else I would go to prison. But that might be what your goal is, I guess. And I'll be back, says Krampus, and there as well. And when is your birthday? It is in December for myself. Looking through at the previous fixtures for these two sides. First of all, the Sharks having a contest up against the Bulls last week. That was their final group stage match. And in the end, the Bulls managing to win that game 26 points to 14. Now, the Sharks were relatively competitive in that contest, but in the end, the Bulls just proving to be that little bit too strong. Benetton, in their game up against Edinburgh, they absolutely dominated, which is something that, don't get me wrong, Benetton are, of course, capable of, but we didn't think it was going to happen like that in their game up against Edinburgh. Of course, not with Edinburgh being so close to that cutoff of the top 8. Thought maybe there was a bit of a chance that they would put up a fight, but unfortunately that just did not happen in that contest. Benetton were a lot more clinical out of the two sides, and they reaped the rewards. They made it through to the top 8, and now they have their challenge up against the Bulls. Looking through at the benches, Aka van der Merwe up there in terms of the leading try scorers in the URC, Martin Zema and Klopa as the other front row replacements, Ludwig and Kirsten as the other forwards, and then Johannes alongside Chris Smith and Sergio Pedersen will be there as the number 23. Luke Casey off the bench with Spagnolo as Olochi. It will be Eli Sneyman there as the number 19 with Kanone and Kanone both coming off the bench. So the 6-2 split offered up here for Benetton, and I believe that is because of the altitude. They want to try and have a bit more left in their tank with their forward pack later on in the contest rather than going all out pace in the early stages. Garbisi off the bench with Jacob Umaga as the last replacement there for Benetton. We have got there I'm Old. Says Robert and now family are listening again. Bulls our team, although they are 1,500 kilometres from where we stay in Cape Town, 25th of December. Is Hamish Jesus? No, it's the 2nd of December. And hi, Old, I'm young, and I'm only 5'1". And what's New Zealand's popular beer? I mean, depending on how far south you go, depends on what type of beverage you enjoy. Like, a lot of people down south enjoy a Spates. You know, cheap options, normally the double brown. What else? DB Draft, Export Gold, those type of beverages, all available here in New Zealand. And we have got there, I'm Old, says Robert in the chat as well. But like I mentioned, the Bulls finishing second on the overall standings, getting themselves the 66 points. Their points differential, very handy indeed, 206. They had a higher points differential than Leinster. They got that one extra bonus point throughout the season. And all the top sides in the 4 have all had the exact same amount of wins, all winning 13 of their regular season games. Absolutely massive performances from those sides. The Stormers not too far behind. Of course, they are going to be going head-to-head between the Stormers and Glasgow in the very near future. And then the Lions, very unfortunate to miss out. That was due to the fact that they had less wins than Ospreys, even though their points differential was almost a whole 100 more than the side that made it through to face Munster, although unfortunately that was as far as it went. They played Munster, they got beaten badly, and in the end losing that game by 16 points. But throughout Super Rugby's matches, we have had a lot of one-sided affairs. So I'm hoping that here in the URC, we're going to get a couple closer games between these sides. Looking at the chat again, I've never had beer, I've only really drunk vodka. Worst beer in New Zealand is a Tui, says Pads Ablaze, and the New Zealand Koala. New Zealand's my favourite beer, says Fluffy there as well. But we are not too far away from the start of this contest. Like I mentioned, there are 3 URC quarterfinals taking place today, ladies and gentlemen, the first of which being this one between the Bulls and Benetton. Now, whoever wins this game will face the winner of the next contest of the quarterfinals, which is going to be Leinster versus Ulster. And that game is kicking off in only 2.5 hours' time. The game after that has taken place will be the Stormers versus Glasgow, and the winner of that contest will face Munster. So as we get through the next about 5 or 6 hours, we will start to know exactly who is going to be playing who. Also alongside that, in about 7 and a bit hours' time, we will actually know the Springboks squad that is going to be announced for their game up against the Welsh, and that has taken place in late June. We are also going to be covering that one on the channel as well. But do let me know your score predictions for this contest, ladies and gentlemen. Who do you see getting over the line in these matchups from today? Of course, we have 3 clear favourites, although that last game between Glasgow and Stormers, a little bit less one-sided, but the games prior to that, the Bulls are heavy favourites to beat Benetton here. The game between Ulster and Leinster, Leinster are supposed to win that game quite comfortably, although normally an Irish derby can be just that little bit closer. And then that last game between Glasgow and Stormers honestly could go either way. And I feel like that is the game that a lot of people are looking forward to seeing exactly who walks away with the victory. And Benetton's starting lineup, please. So we will be looking through at the lineups once again in a very short moment as soon as the players start to get ready to make their way out onto the field. Bulls by 12. Says Barry there. And also the 10 out of 10 from Tar. And there, I eat a lot of New Zealand lamb here in England, says Manny M. And also we have got their double bangers, says Fluffy. Not too sure what you mean by that one, Fluffy. I don't think I've heard of that type of beverage, unless you're talking double brown, maybe. Possibly. Is it Australian? I did not actually know. I love the side chats on this channel, says Pixie Dust. And of course, we have got plenty more hours coming today. Another 6 hours worth of commentary coming up for the rest of the evening. Looking through at the Bulls starting lineup for this contest. Gerhard Stennekamp alongside Johan Grobela and Wilco Low will close out the front row. Rowan Vermaak and Rowan Nokia as the locking duo. Now, Nokia, like I said earlier on, he actually managed to score himself a try in the last match up against Benetton. And also Nassim Carr, Elric Lowe, and Cameron Honeycomb does seem like a very handy option, maybe for the future, in terms of that green and gold. And Bros Papier and Johan Goosen will make up the 9-10 channel, with Harold Foster and David Creel on the outside at 13. Kutli Arendse out on one wing, Seb de Klerk out on the other, and then Willy LaRue sorting in as the number 15. In terms of the Benetton lineup, Thomas Gaucho, of course, there's quite a bit of Argentinian flair in this lineup, including Thomas Albanoz will be the starting 10. They have got Juan Inesio Brex Monticello, adding a bit of Italian flair to this backline, with Malakai Fekitoa sorting in as the number 12. I'm expecting some big power from Halafihi off the back of those scrums. He was very good in the last match up against the Bulls. I believe he came off the bench in that game as the number 20 and did seem to add a real impact. Lamaro, the Italian captain, is starting at 7, and they have got two Canones off the bench to try and help their side in the later stages. Now, early on, the last time that these two sides played, the Bulls were able to get themselves 2 quick-fire tries, and that really put them behind from the get-go, Benetton. But if they can get themselves at least a couple early opportunities in this game, I'm not saying they have to score them, but they at least have to get close, whether it's a 3-pointer or some great defensive effort. Like, the only way to stay in this game is to keep the Bulls from scoring a whole heap of early tries. Now, Kanan Moody was one of the main reasons that they were able to score themselves plenty of early tries last time round. He will not be playing in this contest, Kanan Moody. So it will be interesting to see how they go early on. Can Benetton cause an upset? It's going to be tough, but they have been in a South African side in South Africa before, managing to pull off the win up against the Sharks earlier on in the URC season. Looking fresh, Hamish. Says Dan, welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing extremely well. And Thomas exhibiting flair, says Katzenel. And also we've got the Samoa better in league than Union, says Manny. And try and Abbott Ale be spare in England. I don't think we have that here in New Zealand, though. And hello, Hamish, says Burning Lash. Hope you are doing extremely well. And do let me know your first try scorer in this contest, ladies and gentlemen. For myself, when I look through at this Bulls lineup, of course, someone like a Kutli Arendse burst of all jumps to mind. I think David Creel, though, has a really good shot of being able to score throughout this game. Just offers a lot when it comes to that attack for the Bulls, and just a handy option to have at number 13. South Africa is actually a big country, and the weather and vegetation and animal life dramatically different from province to province, finding desert to subtropics. So your prediction, Hamish? I'm backing the Bulls to win this game. I don't think we're going to see as high scoring of a game as when we saw these two sides go head-to-head about 3 or so weeks ago, because we've got to remember in that game that did take place, the score, I'm just going to get it, 56 points to 35 in the end. So we saw 89 points scored between these two sides, and I don't see that happening again. You know, we could see 60 scored, and I think if we were to see 60 scored, a majority of those points would be the way of the Bulls. But Benetton just seemed to have that ability of staying close in a contest and then putting some big shots in late and managing to score themselves a few of those last-minute tries. We actually saw it the last time that these two sides went head-to-head. They walked away with 1 bonus point, which was a lot more than a lot of people felt that they would heading into that game. But they have just talked about that injury at the moment of Kanan Moody. He hurt his finger in the last contest up against the Sharks. South Africa should develop rugby league. They'll be a force. Says Manny M, and Blue Bulls is from Pretoria, the capital city. Nice weather all year round, basically north. It's Bushveld subtropic, not really cold in winter, says Ritsima in there as well. We have got there Benetton getting better, but not good enough yet, says Burning Lash. Yeah, they've made drastic improvements this season compared to what we have seen in some of their past years, but like that win over Edinburgh last week, I honestly feel like they seem like they're in the best vein of form that they could be in heading into this contest. Winning at 31 points to 6. No one predicted that. I know that people felt like Benetton would win, but they didn't feel like they were going to beat them by 25 points in that game up against Edinburgh, who haven't exactly been in the best form, but they haven't been playing badly either. And I feel like that's a huge credit to Benetton, and they know that they have to really step up in this game taking place at Loftus. Of course, the home record advantage of the Bulls will be hanging over the head of Benetton, as Mikel Lamaro is going to be leading his side out there onto the field, getting ready for what will be a very epic game between these two sides. We have got that, is that right? You just picked the team to win. Well, says Robert there. It is indeed. I feel like the Bulls should be very handy indeed. Blue Bulls with some great players missing today, injury and so on, but should win easily against Italy with all their South African and other country players and all. Says Ritsima. And South Africa should take over the whole of Africa. Says Fluffy there, and Benetton getting better but not got enough, but they will make their way out onto the field now. Shaulamaro in charge of his side. You think Tonga should be allowed to play in the Rugby Championship? Probably not. I feel like there's about maybe 4 or 5 sides that would easily get the nod ahead of Tonga. Overall, I mean, the Pacific Nations Cup is still a handy enough one for the Tongans, the Samoans, Fijians, and also the Japanese, USA, and Canada. Making his way out onto the field, it is going to be Gerhard Steenekamp. He's ready to go for match number 50 here. It's going to be an extremely important one. There is a chance that the Bulls run away with this game. I will put that out there multiple times throughout this live stream. But there is also a chance that Benetton are ready for a fight, and they are ready for a big match up here up against this Vodacom Bulls side who have got plenty of potential. They've got plenty of superstars, and they will be fired up in front of their home crowd. Now, I should mention, if they win this game, they will confirm themselves a semi-final spot at Loftus. So that is going to be a massive boost for them, where they will go head-to-head with either Leinster or Ulster. But either way, they would be at home. And being able to face Leinster in South Africa rather than playing them in Ireland will make a massive difference in terms of the Bulls' overall confidence. Mike Adamson will be the referee in charge of this one. Ben Whitehouse as the TMO, Sam Grove-White, and also Adam Jones as the 2 assistants. Should we have a promotion and relegation in the Six Nations? Probably not. Like, I know that people want to see the likes of Georgia get the opportunity, but then, you know, when you see some of their results that they've had, like, you can understand why Italy are still in the Six Nations, and they've actually drastically improved throughout this season. We are now just about ready to go for the start of this contest. That flagrant dismissal of Benetton is unwarranted, says Katzenau. Which one are you talking? Katzenau, but that one is going to be kicked off long. Andy Uren, only a few metres out from Benetton's line, and already getting close to putting that ball into touch. I am, says Ilma, and also Africa is an untapped rugby continent. Says Cool Story Bro, little chip in behind from Villy LaRue. Going to be sitting up for Kutli Arnsa, and the Bulls have scored within 25 seconds in this contest. Talk about a dream start. Kutli Arnsa, they'd hardly done their warm-ups, and they've already scored the first try of the contest up against Benetton. And that is not the start to the match that the Italian side were after, that is for sure. 23rd try for Kutli Arnsa. And their hat-trick loading, says Justin there. You called it Hamish. Says Cool Story Bro, but yeah, I didn't call it to be within 20 seconds or so of the start of this contest. A brilliant chase from Kutli Arnsa. Benetton, I mean, they didn't really do too much wrong there other than Andy Uren missing touch. What a try in the first minute, says Morne Lagrange, and that is certainly a way to start a quarter-final, getting themselves the early try there, the Bulls. And they will have their tails up big time now. Well, so quickly, that didn't take long, says Pads Ablaze. Bruh, says Katzenau. So I assume the dismissal of Benetton was actually from myself, saying that there's a chance that the Bulls win this game comfortably. Katzenau. And that one's gone over, so they'll make the score now 7-0 in favour of the Bulls. This could be a pretty high-scoring game if they are not careful. Italy have ended up with a winner's boom many times, and they have been in the Six Nations for a pretty long time. Although now with their new young players that are coming through the rankings, it does seem like they have drastically improved. They beat Scotland in the last Six Nations. And this guy, or that guy, is lethal. Says Burning Lash. But the first try of the contest now, Benetton kicking off to Ruanokia. And Bulls good start, says Yako. And that fantastic start. Not many sides score within 30 seconds of a kickoff. Definitely not when they are the side kicking off. That is something else that deserves a lot of credit for the Bulls. The fact that they had to get that ball back and then were able to score it. This Bulls side gets me excited like the 2009 Bulls side got me. Although the 2009 side will be hard to beat. Now stolen by the Bulls again. David Creel puts the kick in behind. Reno Smith is back there waiting for that one. And he's going to be shut down early from Harold Foster. I think of what South Africa owes Africa, like the Beast and Percy Montgomery. Says, cool story, bro. Give Georgia a chance and relegate Italy. Why should Italy be relegated when they didn't even finish last in the previous Six Nations competition? Now rolling this one back. And now Andy Uren, this time he'll certainly want to make sure that he finds touch with the kick, because if he doesn't, he's decided to kick it up the middle of the field. Last time that he did that, the Bulls were able to counter-attack and score themselves their first try of the contest. Now Ambrose Papier with a short ball going to Sebastian de Klerk. Little knock on there. I just want to see an all-Ugandan front row. See his Fluffy. Sebastian de Klerk with the early error there for the Bulls, which now means that it is going to be a scrum feed in favour of Benetton. They have to be the next side to score in this contest. They cannot afford to allow this Bulls side to start rolling, because when they do, they are so hard to stop. The pack weight's 919 kgs for the Bulls compared to the Benetton 879. I believe that is a 40 kg advantage in favour of the Bulls. Only 4 minutes in and already that early try coming. If the Bulls are in the mood, it's going to be a long day. And we've got to remember, the last time that these two sides played, we saw 89 points scored between them. Benetton able to get themselves 35 of those points, but 56 of them coming in favour of the Bulls. Yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting one to see what is going to happen next in this game, whether or not the Bulls can continue that momentum. They want Portugal to be a part of the Six Nations just because they have one good result. People don't know their rugby. But that's a little bit similar with Georgia as well. Like, anytime Georgia has played top opposition, normally they end up losing those games. Yet people always seem to decide that Georgia should be in the Six Nations just because they're good at beating the lower ranked teams, which, to be honest, most sides are. But now penalty goes the way of the Bulls. The scrum fee for Benetton, but the big push from Wilco Low. Hamish, are there any Kiwis playing? Malakai Fekitoa at number 12 for Benetton. Of course, his most recent caps, though, coming for Tonga. So I don't know whether or not he does still count. But other than that, not really many Kiwis in this contest. We're going to see more Kiwis in that Leinster versus Ulster game taking place just around the corner. And we are also going to be covering that one on the channel. Hi, guys. There's 123 MS. But yeah, massive push from Wilco Low, driving Thomas Gasho backwards. And already the Bulls have got themselves another attacking chance in this quarter-final. Thrown in by Grobela, nicely taken by Ruan Vermaak. Good driving tackle made from Benetton, but it was a knock-on. Georgia have been playing rugby longer than Portugal. Just because they've been playing it longer, Italy been playing rugby longer than Georgia. Shouldn't that mean that Italy gets the priority then by that logic? Just saying. And Portugal would bring some decent tawny wines to the Six Nations, though, and cheese, says Fluffy. But now getting ready for another scrum here. It will be in favour of the Bulls. And, I mean, we saw that last scrum when they didn't have the feed. This one, they have got the feed, and, of course, that should be a little bit more dominant. And when they are going against it, it should be Seven Nations with the Box. The Box have enough depth to play with the championship, says 123 MS. So I assume that is to play in the Six Nations rather than the Rugby Championship, or are you saying they should play in both competitions? 123 MS. But now Ambrose Papier to feed the ball in for the Bulls. Looks relatively solid. Cameron Hanekom holding that ball in one hand, breaking through the tackle attempt of Thomas Albanoz to get him around the chest. Was riding up a little bit high. Now David Krill hits it up. Now again, Harold Foster, ball on the outside to Sebastian de Klerk. He slips over, looks for the pass to Harold Foster, who has somehow kept himself in the field of play. Now Cameron Hanekom, both competitions, they have the depth. Although I think it's to do with the world rankings of why they aren't allowed to play in two different competitions, or else they have that unfair advantage of playing more competitions than others. Because or else could you make the argument that Ireland could play in the Rugby Championship as well? Nice quick hands. Kukli Arrinsa. Oh, his foot was on the line there. But it looks like it's going to be play on. Referee on the touchline missed it. Now Grobela, only a couple metres out. Now going back across to the right-hand side. South African B team for the Seven Nations. Says, cool, what a run that is from Johan Goosen. Looked for the offload as he felt like he wasn't quite going to be able to make it. And instead it's going to be stolen by Benetton, who clear their lines, and that is a fantastic kick. In fact, it's almost going to be a 50-22. Stays in the field of play, and Sebastian de Klerk now off the side of his boot. Well, put this one into touch, but well defended from Benetton there. What happened to New Zealand yesterday in the T20? Well, they lost quite barely. I don't want the Box to join the Six Nations. Be bad news for the All Blacks. There's Matty N. The Sevens Nation sounds weird, like Eurovision. There's Fluffy, but yeah. Johan Grobler, Johan Hussen thought he was just going to be short, so he decided to offload it up, trying to find one of his teammates, but instead found the hands of Benetton. But I don't think Benetton are going to be able to play at this pace for the whole 80 minutes. Not at altitude. It's going to be a massive test for them. Halafihi now in possession. Dubai Super Competition and Seven Nations with Springboks would 90% end. Would 90% be the end of rugby for me. Says goes through, bro. Fikatawa going across to Onisi Ratave. Has to run it straight sideways, but it looks like he's doing relatively well. Get the offload away to Ezekor. He was quite strong the last time that Benetton went up against the Bulls. Now in behind, Fikatawa, first receiver, goes away to Michel Lamaro. Who do you think Stormers of Glasgow and why? I'll be honest, like Stormers away from home, that's the only factor that I think might lose them the game. But in terms of the lineups, I feel like Stormers honestly do have the strongest side on paper. So I would probably back them by a thin margin. It's just whether or not that mindset is still there for the Stormers. Of course, we've got to remember they were knocked out of the Champions Cup by La Rochelle, and that was a game that they felt like they should have been able to win. They have to find that attack and urgency. And up against the Lions last week, there were times that it didn't seem like it was all there, but there's still a lot that is going to hopefully go right for the Stormers throughout the rest of the URC. If we had a Sevens Nation with the Springboks team, then we might as well allow the New Zealand Maoris to join. And Creel playing like a Bok 13 is up for grabs. Says Manny M. We've got a new member on the channel. It is Caroline Rizzo. Thank you very much for hitting that membership button. Looks like the early chance for Benetton here after the penalty. Bulls forever, says Ben, and the Bulls blew that one. And they have one more phase, and the Bulls would have had their second try there. Says Monet Lagrange. Georgia, Portugal, Spain, Romania should have tests against A teams from Tier 1 and comp against Pacific nations. Says 123 MS. Yeah, I feel like at the moment they've talked about how there's going to be like a top 12 teams competition take place between the Six Nation sides, the Rugby Championship sides, and then two other invitational teams. But at the same time, I feel like they also need to have a competition for those next sides down, like so Georgia, Portugal, Spain, and all of those sides, just to give them a chance of being able to play top opposition. And yes, there's going to be times when they don't get to play that many games. Like the good news for the Springboks in some regards is we are going to see a lower side face them. Of course, that is one of the reasons why there is not going to be a 3-match Irish series, is because they are given the opportunity to a young or smaller European side. That is not a clean claim off the kickoff for Benetton, and the ball is stripped by Cameron Hanekom, who finds the offload away to Grobler, who's knocked the ball on though. And the ball was alive till it was forced down by Thomas Gachot, and we're going to have another scrum feed now, gone the Bulls by 12, maybe 15, says Birdie V. Yeah, Rhino Smith, unfortunately, just not quite taking that one very cleanly at all. Went straight through him, and then there was a lot of, I guess, intent shown from Cameron Hanekom. Get through, rip that ball away, and get it back on the side of the Bulls. In the end, Onisi Ratave knocking it out of the hands of Grobler. How you feeling, mate? We've been better, I'll be honest. Like, being sick before a weekend of streaming and still being sick during streams is never fun, but we're doing all right at the moment. Head's not throbbing as much as it was earlier on, so that's a bonus. Actually, if the New Zealand Maoris ever played the All Blacks, not that I know of. But, yeah, that would be slightly hard to do, definitely because half of the side do qualify for both teams. I just show on Johan Grobler, currently ranked 31st in the overseas or overall URC power rankings. Of course, the scrum of the Bulls has been looking powerful throughout the early stages. I'm glad you're still streaming, mate. True legend, says Birdie V. Now, about to be fed in by Embros Babia. Don't have time to stay. Everyone enjoy the game. Bulls by 20 or more, says Brian there. In fact, no, sorry, it's Benetton scrum feed, I should say, rather than for Embros Papier. going to be fed in by Andy Uren. And the Bulls holding strong. Benetton doing well to be able to retain their scrum, though 4 weeks to England thumb New Zealand. Says Krampus. Currently 15 metres out from their own line here for Benetton. Looking back into the pocket. In fact, no, they're going to use their forwards for a little bit longer first. Benasconi gets his touch. Now Andy Uren ready to feed this ball back. And going for the box kick yet again. He's going to be under a lot of pressure as the scoreboard behind, mate. It certainly is. It still says 5 minutes, doesn't it? There we go. It's up to 14 now. Currently 13 minutes into this contest. 7 points to 3 in favour of the Bulls. After being able to score within 24 seconds from the opening whistle. Damien McKenzie is going to be better play under Scott Robinson. Says Manny M. And now Johan Grobler getting ready to throw this ball in. And it's nicely taken by Ron Vermaak, but he's actually had the ball knocked out of his hands. Benetton able to take this one back. And now looking for the kick in behind from Thomas Albanos. Awkward bouncing one, but it will be inside of the 22 for the Bulls. And this is supposed to be the strongest English team ever made. Good luck to the All Blacks, says Cool Story Bro, and it is kicked into touch by the Bulls. A good clearing boot. Gets it to about maybe 42 metres out from Benetton's line. Currently, we are seeing the territory game definitely going the way of one of these two sides, that being the home side, the Bulls. Tier 2 nations don't have regular games outside the World Cup years, says 123 MS. And hope it's England's C team, says Krampus. And there's our Tier 2 nations don't have regular games. Oh no, I read that one, didn't I? It just came through a second time. Now Andy Uren going across to Halafihi. Now Uren going for the boot of mine. They're trying to play the territory game here, Benetton, but a little bit of a mistake at the back from Sebastian de Klerk. Gets it away to Willie LaRue Sunak. I said it's an A+. Says Cool Story, bro. Now Ambrose Papier cross to Cameron Hanekom. And now rolling this ball back for Ambrose Papier. To look for the touchline. And he does get that one out. They've just mentioned there, Ambrose Papier actually been at the Bulls for 10 years at the moment. So certainly loyal to his club. Currently 15 minutes into this contest. And I have to say, Benetton are doing a lot better than I thought that they would be after that first try was scored against them. Conceding within the first 30 seconds of any game will always put a little bit of a, I guess, bit of doubt in the back of your mind. But they seem like they've just continued as if it didn't happen. Awesome results from Super Rugby. Do you know who was playing who in the semi-finals? So one semi-final is going to be Hurricanes versus Chiefs. And the other semi-final is going to be Blues versus Brumbies. So Hurricanes and Blues have the home finals for those two. Now Anisi Ratave, tackled by Ruan Nokia. Looking for the turnover, wasn't able to get it. Oh, big shot coming in on Benetton's big forwards. Nice, thanks, mate. No worries at all. That's going to be passed in behind. Loose ball. Pops up for Malachi Fekitoa with the no-look pass on the outside to Manoncello. Tried to get the pass away or at least get a kick onto it, but doesn't find his teammate. Good ankle tap from Manoncello on his opposite number, Sebastian de Klerk. Now Papier gets the ball, or at least waits for it now. Little chip of mine from Willie LaRue. That looked like a knock-on, was it? From Kurtley Aronson. In fact, no, Adamson was about to give it as a knock-on, then he said it came off the knee. Now back across to the right-hand side. Ambrose Papier trying the sniping run. Nassim Carr gets the offload from Grobler, who goes back to Hussein. This is fantastic offloading. Rohan Vermaak gets to 15 metres out. And now David Kriel, another offload going to Ambrose Papier. Willie LaRue skip pass, great hands from Cameron Hanekom, but it was a forward pass from Willie LaRue. It's now going to be the scrum feed for Benetton once again. Inside of their 22, bro. Sunak does morphine at most, nothing more. Says, cool story, bro. And Nazim Carr just getting that offload away to Grobler, who then got it to Hussein, who then got it to Ruan Vermaak. And this is just something that the Bulls are doing extremely well throughout this game, is getting that offload away and keeping the Benetton team under the extra pressure, because if there's so many offloads taking place, it is very hard to be able to follow the ball the way that they are hoping to on defence. Sounds like Papia could make the A-team Irish, England, France box, and ABs could have enough depth to support an A-team against second-tier nations. I mean, we have had rumours of a South Africa A, and I mean, the New Zealand XV, they normally play the Barbarians, but I would argue that they should be playing some of those other lower European sides as well. I guess money is one of the big factors that do play part in that. Normally, it does cost quite a bit to get those matches going. Now that one's gone into touch from Albanoz, good kick downfield, and quickly Arinsa decides against trying to take it quickly. Albanoz actually ranked 27th in the overall standings for the URC. I think the Bulls, they have probably waited long enough to get themselves another try. Qatar is in exclusively talks for the tourney. There's 1, 2, 3 MS. It's going to be thrown in, nicely taken by the Bulls. Looking to get this one rolling forward here for Johan Grobela. Hanging on to that ball at the back of the maul. Hasn't made a huge amount of meters as of yet here for the Bulls, but it is starting to creep just that little bit further forward. Right. They're being told to use it here. Ambrose Papier ready to go for the box kick. Federico Ruza was onside, and he has managed to get the turnover there for Benetton. Now Uren goes across to Talbin, or Thomas Albanoz. Now space for Juan Ignacio breaks. Ball on the outside to Onisi Ratave. And the flying Fijian finishes the job in the corner, and Benetton take the lead in this contest. But Onisi Ratave, when he gets into space like that, he is going to be extremely hard to stop. They may want to just check his foot here to make sure that he wasn't in touch, but that is sensational work from the Fijian for his 6th career try. And Thomas, we trust. There's Katsanel. Yeah, Federico Rusa managing to get that charge down there. Benetton, we're ready to go. And then passed on the outside to Onisi Ratave. And yeah, he's done a beautiful job finishing that one. Hang on, we're looking at something though. Okay, they're going to say that this is a no try because Federico Rusa was in an offside position by the sounds of it. Works in a pharmacy part-time, which is pretty handy for Sunak. So they're saying Federico Rusa has lost his bind from the maul, so that is going to make it no try. It's going to be the penalty going the way of the Bulls. There will be a cancelled out try for Onisi Ratave. They'll be disappointed with that, Benetton, or at least now they know that they can score tries, though, up against the Bulls. And yep, no try. Says Bertie V there as well. And Sunak's wife sells children. Right, so this might be the opportunity that the Bulls needed. Of course, they were not happy about conceding that try. Well, almost conceding that try, but it is going to be now taken away. It will make the score back to 7 points to 3. Still in favour of the home side, the Bulls. Now Johan Goosen kicking that one down towards the touchline. Benetton, please, no upset today. I support when they play anyone except South African teams. So yeah, 1, 2, 3 MS. That was a bit of a weird one because Papia kind of froze afterwards as if to say, well, that shouldn't have happened. Maybe he knew that it was going to be a penalty in favour of his side, but Harold Foster now, they're only 22 metres out at the moment, and he is running towards the try line, only 5 metres out now for the Bulls, and Bruce Papia going in behind inside, Bora Kurtli Ardenser, and he gets another try, and that will give the momentum firmly back into the hands of the Bulls. Funny, I support anyone that plays against South African teams, says Bill, and try time says Bertie V, but Kurtli Ardenser has got himself another try. Looks like he's got a bit of a limp at the moment. Which hopefully is nothing too serious, but that penalty going against Benetton for their no try, it's given the Bulls perfect opportunity to counter, and that is exactly what they were able to do. Ball on the inside, going to Kutli Arinsa. Does manage to score the try. That'll now give them the 14-3 lead, as it should be a nice easy kick here for Johan Goosen. TMO, whatever the Bulls want, says Ricardo. And there as well. Under-20 Championship, I hope New Zealand get their 7th title as the Stormers in this comp. So when does the Under-20 Championship get underway? I don't think we're too far away from the Under-20s, are we? Now Goosen does get it over as the Stormers in this comp. They are indeed. They are playing up against Glasgow in about 6.5 hours. Or sorry, 4.5 hours, in fact, when they are going to be playing up against Glasgow. We will be covering that one on the channel as well. I almost missed the game. Thought it was in 2 hours' time. Luckily checked in. Says Arthur. And yeah, the next game that is taking place, Leinster versus Ulster, which will be kicking off in 2 hours' time. So, yeah, it is good to see you for this contest. Good start to the match for the Bulls. Big run from Eric Lowe. Gets them just outside of the 22. And now Ambrose Papier again will be able to put this one up. Nicely taken by Rhino Smith. A lot of pressure on him by Kutli Arinsa, and Hanekom lines him up. And hey, the Bulls are back to reality. See this cool story, bro? I'm just going to look up the date of that Under-20 Championship. Starts 29th of June. Thank you very much, Birdie. So yeah, there'll be a few overlaps with the July internationals as well, but hopefully we will be able to cover both competitions, or at least some of both of the competitions. Now going short side, Johan Goosen, dragged down by Malakai Feketoa. Nochia making his way forward, who's on the attack at the moment. The Bulls are in position, although it looks like they are about to give it up. Looking for this box kick now for Ambrose Papier. Hi, Hamish and chat, minus Crumpus. Says bystander, welcome in, mate. Kicked high from Ambrose Papier. And that's going to be out on the full from the experienced Bulls halfback, now giving Benetton the chance to have another attack. They were so close to scoring earlier on in the contest with Onisi Retave. They would not mind getting on the score sheet before halftime. They actually had 2 tries at halftime the last time that these two sides went head-to-head. The Bulls were able to score themselves the early tries, but then Benetton slowly tried to get themselves back into the contest. They still managed to lose that game by about 24 points, though. Or 22, I think it might have been, somewhere around there. Looked like there was a little bit of an injury there for Chizzy, I believe it was. The Bulls' only home defeat in any competition this season was to Munster, as the stat that has just popped up nicely, picked up by Johan Groeveler. And the ball is going to be there again for the Bulls. And Ambrose Papier goes back across to Johan Goosen. Puts his kick in behind. A rubbish kick needed Dupont. Says Lollipop. And now good run forward from Manoncello. Straight at Kutli Arinsa Uren. Going across here for Manoncello. In fact, no, sorry, it will be Bernasconi. Albanos. And behind Juan Anacio breaks. Lamaro has knocked the ball on. Going to be a scrum feed now for the Bulls. I insulted a bystander when I had a concussion. Says cool story, bro. And 2029 British and Irish Lions tour New Zealand. Still a wee way away, of course. 5 years. We're going to have another World Cup before then. Taking place in Australia. Anyone have a stream to watch this game? If you do have URC TV, that is your best option of being able to watch. I know that there's a few free-to-air options in the UK. Not sure about South Africa, though. I believe most of it is behind DSTV for being able to watch these games. The highlights will be on YouTube afterwards, though, on the United Rugby Championship website. Did Goosen score the extra points? He certainly did, making the score 14-3. Lions won't exist in 2029, says Krampus. And to be fair, they might have something else that they try and put into that international window. Does URC TV charge? Sadly, they do, yeah. I think it's $15 per game to be able to watch. That as New Zealand as well. I know that because I had to buy one of the games a couple of weeks ago because the coverage cut out here in New Zealand. Another mistake made from Sebastian de Klerk has knocked that ball on. Benetton now have the option of the line out or the scrum. I think they'll take the scrum in this case. I got knocked out in a game of rugby. Only regained consciousness the next day in hospital. Tip tackle landed face first. So here's Lollipop. Hamish the Springboks did not play in 2 First World Cups. Do you think they could have won one of those? Hard to say, only because they weren't in them. So, like, of course, there's a lot of if, buts, and maybes, but, like, if they weren't in it, I guess there's no way of judging whether or not they would have done well. What's the attendance like? It looks like it's a decent attendance for this game. I'll be honest, if it was someone other than Benetton, no offense to Benetton, but, you know, whether it was an Irish side or someone along those lines, perhaps they would have had a little bit of a bigger attendance. I think they're still pretty close to sold out, though, from what I've seen in terms of the seats. And lineouts look skew. Says Justin. Now past him on from Juan Inesio. Breaks, doesn't find the hands that he was after. Federico Rosa now. Tackled by Papier. 31k, says Justin. How many are in attendance? Now that one's going to be kicked in behind. Nicely taken by Villy LaRue inside of the 22. And also we look at their Springboks versus Wales 2024. Says Yako. And then, yeah, that game going to be taking place in only about 2 weeks' time. And also, I should mention, at the end of the last game between Glasgow and the Stormers, we are going to get to see the Springboks announcement of who they are going to have for their squad going up against the Welsh. I feel like attendance is very consistent in Europe. Says Katzenel, and we got the best coverage in the US. It's Hamish. Says Robert. I was lucky to not be paralysed and bent right back. Says Lollipop. Alamaro goes short ball to Halafihi. Already 27 minutes through. Munster beat the Ospreys last night, so Munster will have a home semi-final. The Bulls win here. Do they also have a home semi-final? They certainly would, yep. Oh, looks like they have to go back 10 metres here after the mark is called by Sebastian de Klerk. Had a bit of a mixed game so far, de Klerk, but he has at least done some things right, including catching that ball inside of his own 22. Now they will be 40 metres out from the line here. And Benetton have got themselves the line out. Mate, what international games collide with Olympic Sevens fixtures? Not too sure yet. I haven't looked that far ahead, but not too many of them, I don't believe, because it is so late in July that they're taking place. Hamish is awake in the middle of the damn night. That's dedication for you. Hit that like button, please. Says Lollipop there. Yeah, currently it's 2 a.m. here in New Zealand. We've still got another 2 games to go. Offload there. Oh, that's an ugly one. Kurtley Arendse has gone down hard. So is Malakai Fekitoa. And that did not look good for Kurtley Arendse. Both men going for the ball. Fekitoa getting there first and then colliding afterwards. Fekitoa stayed down too, but Benetton have got numbers on the outside. Juan Inesio breaks going across to Federico Rosa. Just couldn't quite get that next pass away to Onisi Ratave on the outside. Now going short side for the big number 4. Yakizi. Now 20 metres out from the line. I see how you. I heard Sebastian. Says Seb there as well. And even Etzebeth, Springboks captain, says Yako does seem like a likeliness. Now, ball bouncing awkwardly. Looks like Fekitoa's back on his feet. I don't know about Kurtley Arendse though. Manoncello cutting back inwards. They've offloaded it back and there was a mistake from Benetton. They tried to rush their breakdown and it ends up with the ball being turned over. And the Bulls now are going to be in possession. All Black Sevens to win the Olympic gold. And that Kirk guy thinks he's a Springbok. He is a Springbok. That one is going into touch. And now we've got a stoppage here. Oh, tell you what. Benetton wanted to take that quickly. And probably fair enough. They had an overlap on the outside. But it looks like Arendse now will be making his way from the field for an HIA here. Hopefully he is going to be all right. We have got the All Blacks going to beat the Box 2-0. Says Manium, I don't know about that. I think they're going to be very challenging games. We're going to see the replay here. So yeah, Fekitoa had it. And then Kurtley Arendse just taking the shot as well. And 1-1. Says Justin there. So Kurtley Arendse, that might be the last that we see of him in this game. And then if he fails his HIA, that would actually be the last that we see of him throughout the rest of this URC competition. So that is the last thing that the Bulls will be wanting. He is a Bok and one of the best wingers in the world. He can walk any team. These injuries are part of the game. A literal one. Always in the ear. Says Katzenel. And if the All Blacks don't win all their 15 games, I would see it as a bad season. I think you think too highly of them. I feel like most sides, having 1 or 2 losses throughout a season isn't exactly a bad thing. Sometimes those are the games that you actually learn the most from. Uren. Now going back across to the left-hand side. Juan Inacio breaks in behind. I should mention Sergio Peterson. He is on the field for Arinsa. High tackle red card says Lollipop. Now Halafihi struggling to find a gap here. And the Bulls defence. Here comes Ezekor. Back across to the left-hand side again. Head-to-head contact by Arinsa. What is wrong with the ref? Says Lollipop, I believe, because of the two of them both ducking down. And, yeah, because Fekitoa was only at about a crouched height, I believe that is the reasoning behind no card for it. Now that's going to be a loose ball picked up by Vili LaRue, and that is a massive shot coming in on Sebastian de Klerk by Onisi Ratave. Counter-ruck coming from Benetton. They haven't got the turnover. Grant says Arinsa in a Cape Town who needs to be brought back and have his soul cleansed. Has been infected with the foul ways of Pretoria, not my words, says Sebastian. Now at the back, Manoncello is kicking that one into touch. Justin Marshall, ex-All Black, wants them to win every game. He said in an interview, Justin Marshall also wanted the Crusaders to keep on playing when they already had a bonus point for the sake of seeing if they could get their points differential higher, even though it was 100 points higher than any other side that they were competing with at that stage of the comp. Plus, they were within 7, the opposition, so they could have lost that game. So I wouldn't take everything that Justin Marshall says too honestly. But now, it's going to be a knock-on advantage, I believe, against, tell you what, they've got a great chance here. Onesi Ratave steps and he will score this time. Didn't get it earlier on, but he got it now. And Onesi Ratave has now got his 6th try. He almost had it about 15 minutes ago. Yeah, just a little bit sloppy from that Bulls defence. Few early errors into the opportunity for them to build together a few phases. And it seems to be in the wide channels that they are finding their success at the moment. Such high expectations leading to grief. 15-0 is a delusional mindset. Says Katzenel, AB's fans are too used to the invincibility of former ABs, but other teams have caught up and surpassed them. Says 1, 2, 3, MS and come on the Bulls. Says Manny Ember. Great finish from Onisi Ratave. Now opportunity coming for the Bulls to be able to kick this one over. Sorry, for Benetton to kick this one over, and that would take us a little bit closer to a level playing field. Rhino Smith line up this kick. And of course, this one would be a massive kick to get over. And well said, nonetheless, Sebastian, that one's going to miss away to the side. I predict the Bulls will be the first South African team to win the Champions Cup in the near future, says Manny M. And don't mess this up, Bull. And I should mention, I know that this is not something that I thought I'd be saying at this stage of the match, but if the Bulls were to some reason lose this game, right, the players in their squad would be eligible for Springbok selection for the game up against Wales. So I guess that is probably going to be the question we ask at halftime. Of these Bulls players, if they were to lose this game, who do you see as a possibility for that game up against the Welsh? We won't go into it just yet, though, but start thinking about it, ladies and gents, of who you would have in your Springbok side. And, of course, once we get into July, when the players are all eligible, who of the Bulls would you end up having? We'll talk about that during the halftime break. I've just read that back, and I absolutely butchered that. I didn't say as a Cape Town boy, is what I meant to say, says Sebastian. And I'm stuck at work. This is the only way I can watch/listen to the game, says Richard. And also we have got there the Welsh. Yeah, so Wales are going head-to-head with South Africa in the late June game. Bit of a warm-up for the two sides. Don't jinx the Bulls, mate. Here's a birdie V, but that is going to be another penalty, this time going the way of the Bulls. Bunasconi, the man who has got the penalty going against him, and Thomas Gashot looks like he's got a bit of a knee injury. I think he was actually struggling with knee injuries last game, I believe. Okay, they're saying there that this could be a yellow for Bernasconi. Okay, I think it's just going to be a penalty for the player diving at the knees. Rassi will surely have two teams ready for the announcements if the Bulls lose. He's got about 7 that he has to have prepared because, of course, the Storm is another side that are in the competition at the moment. But if they were to lose their game to Glasgow, then the Stormers players do become eligible. A big love to Birdie. I hope you're doing well. Says Sebastian on July the 6th, New Zealand versus England, Scott Robertson Judgment Days. But now it looks like Johan Goosen is going to be lining up this kick from the halfway line. Grass cutter tackle. So here's Lollipop. This one's going to be 54 metres out. Distance shouldn't be a problem, seeing as this game being played at altitude. Taking the deep breaths now here for Johan Goosen. Strikes it well. And he has got it over. So that is now going to make the scores 17 points to 8 in favour of the Bulls. They have now got the lead of 9. Heading towards this halftime break. Are you ever not Wales? Maybe a whale. If it was on land. Says cool story, bro. Rassi, watch out. Scott Robinson is coming for your throne as the best coach in the world. Says Manny M, although Scott Robinson hasn't even had one international cap yet, so I feel like we should probably wait to see how he goes in his first game before we start comparing him to Rassi. We're definitely missing Moody. Says Abello, yeah, massive hit to not have him for this game. I believe it was finger injury in that last game up against the Sharks. Meant that he is going to be out for this game. I'm not sure whether or not he is going to be back in July. I think he is, though. A nice take under the high ball for Benetton. And Robinson will get sacked for getting thumped by England. I think Rassi has every single perputation covered. There's Arthur. Now Thomas Garshaw. Again, tackle well by the Bulls. Defence is a core trying to bust through. And there's been some great decision-making from the Bulls in terms of their forward pack. In terms of who they are lining up to make the tackles on. They aren't getting tricked too often by this Benetton backline. Although now they're looking to go out wide. Manoncello, nice run. Straight at David Creel, 40 metres out from the line. Now Onisi Ratave sells the dummy. And he's going to be dragged down. Well, Johan Grubler, his hands were down. The box without Bulls or the Storm is going to be weak. There's Lollipop. That is true, although they should still be able to put up a really good fight up against the Welsh. I don't know whether or not that game goes towards world rankings. I assume it would. But it's certainly not one of those games for the Springboks that they will be wanting to at all get close to losing. Definitely not if it affects those rankings. Now back across to the right-hand side. Run from Albanoz. Obviously covering the Leinster versus Ulster match, we certainly are, as well as the game after that, taking place between the Stormers and Glasgow. We are going to be covering that one on the channel as well. Thomas Garshaw, taken by his opposite number there. Gerhard Stenachamp. Nice phase play here from Benetton. They're up to 14 phases in a row now. I'm excited for Manny's predictions. Says cool story, bro. And there as well, looks like they are sending this back away to the left-hand side on Nisi Ratave. Looks like Feketoa is off the field. That is a beautiful Novus. That's going to be a drop ball and a half there. The young replacement had a run-and try, and he drops the ball. Nisi Ratave disappointed. Alejandro Garbisi. That is about the easiest try he would have scored of his whole career. Onisi Ratave did all the hard work. Bumped off Sebastian de Klerk. Bumped off David Creel. And all he needed to do was catch it. And he would have scored. But he's made the mistake. The coaches could not believe it. One of the coaches ripping his hat from his head. Made 4 cups of Milo in my jug bottle. I remember when a football player set out, game due to finger injury. I thought, surely this is a piss take. Sebastian. Yeah, unless it's the goalkeeper, it doesn't really make too much sense, does it? Unless, of course, you're planning on touching people with your hand or touching the ball. Drop ball of the weekend, yeah, drop ball of the season almost. Depending on how much that impacts the outcome of this game as well, it could be a massively costly drop ball. But yeah, it's on that left-hand side that Benetton are finding their success. They're targeting Sebastian de Klerk and they're doing it extremely well. That is what is that? A frozen frozen ice cream of some sort with some chocolate on top. Looked tasty enough. Remember John Earls, what a guy. Says, cool story, bro. Do rugby league players become millionaires like soccer players? Not like the football players. Like, a football player in one season probably earns more than a rugby league player throughout their whole career, depending on who they are. Whose home game is this? It is a home game for Loftus and the Bulls. So if they manage to win this game, they will be going through to the semi-finals, where they will actually also have themselves the home semi-final. They're yummies. And also, football is much harder, says Krampus. And there as well. Although that wasn't the point that they were making, Krampus. One scrum penalty already going against Benetton. And it looks relatively solid. Front rows have gone down, and the penalty goes the way of the Bulls. So they aren't in any hurry to be able to get this one downfield either, but that could be an extremely costly mistake made by Benetton. Frozen ice cream with chocolate on top, as more commonly known, chocolate ice cream. Fair play. This game is very different from a few weeks back. Benetton holding on. And they get paid more because it's harder. Says Krampus, what's the penalty count? At the moment, I believe I will find it for you. I was going to tell you, but I can't quite remember what number popped up before. I know that Benetton have probably given away about 6 penalties, maybe compared to the Bulls 4, if I had to guess. There's going to be a line out here for Johan Robele as we sit on halfway. And also sit halfway through this match. Do the Bulls want to kick this one into touch, or do they want to continue trying to attack? It looks like they want to have one last crack here. Looking for that possibility of a rolling maul try. Although Papier puts it back, and they will kick this one into touch there for the Bulls. Some league players have $1 million deals. This game is very different. Who wants to join me? I know Hamish wants to. Says Pads and Blaze, how much does a rugby league player make a week? Depends on the player. Benetton are quite competitive. Tough first half for the Bulls, says Zabello. Yeah, all I can think of is that missed opportunity for Garbisi. One extra try there for Benetton could have put them up to 15 points to 17 going into the second half, which would have been a massive game changer for them. But looking through at some of the stats for this first half, first of all, the discipline stat was asked about. 4 penalties against Benetton, only 2 against the Bulls. So actually a pretty low penalty count half between these two sides, about $10. Says Krampus. Looking at the territory, it is actually in favour of Benetton, 66%. The tackle completion is 84% for the Bulls compared to 80% for Benetton. And then also the possession is 60% in favour of Benetton as well. But of course, first Bulls try coming within 25 seconds for Kurtley Arendse. He has scored both of the tries for the Bulls, but he is now taken, or has now gone from the field due to his HIA. We haven't seen him return as of yet. I'm hoping he will be able to return because, like I mentioned, if he doesn't return in this matchup, not only is he not going to be there for the rest of this game, but he also isn't going to be there for the next maybe 1 or 2 games of the competition as well, which would be a massive hit for their confidence, definitely because they have actually lost Kane Moody already with that finger injury. Do union players make more money than league players? Not really. Depends though. Some union players, the top paid guys probably do, but some of the others, not really. He'll be kicking himself, split second of having his eye off the pass of the ball. And yeah, the worst thing is it was a very good pass from Anisi Ratave. Like, he just put it straight where he needed it to, and Gardabisia just slips out. Natave will be thinking to himself, maybe you should have tried to, or Ratave I should say, will be thinking maybe I should have just tried to finish it myself. In Australia League, players get on average more money. So here's a 1-2-3 MS. They are just showing that first try that was scored by the Bulls. It was within the first 30 seconds of the game. It set up a Kurtley Arendse. And then the other try was also scored by Arendse in this game. And the one try coming for Anisi Ratave in the first half as well. But in terms of some of the other stats for this first half, in terms of players who have stepped up, Arendse has the most points out of any player. He also has the most tries. And then defenders beaten, he is the top. Clean breaks, he's the top. Meters made, he's the top for the Bulls, whereas actually Mononcello is the top in general with a 54 in total. And defensively, so far we've seen Cameron Honeycomb make 12 tackles, which is a whole 7 more than any of the Benetton players. And Monticello actually leading the tackle stat for Benetton. And this one looks like cricket players make more money than rugby players. There's Manny M. And league makes more than union. Isn't union more worldwide? Says T7. That is true. So yeah, depending on the competitions, of course, will depend on whether or not you're making good money or not. But yeah, I guess it's just dependent on leagues. Like the players in Japan, of course, are making quite a bit of money. The players in France making good money. URC, you got a few high paid players, but a majority are getting paid lower than those overseas competitions. How's it, Pete? Smash that like button, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe. Says BDV, you heard the man. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are going to be back for the game taking place between Leinster and Ulster. That one going to be kicking off it will be 4 a.m. New Zealand time, which is in 1 hour, 40 minutes time. We are going to be covering that one on the channel as well. League is tougher than Union. Says Manny M and Box are going to start at full, or going to be short at fullback. If the Bulls win, no Villy, Willems are injured. So yeah, that's when they have to look at someone like well, it depends on if the Stormers go through. If they don't, then you've got someone like a Wadakalant could be a possibility. If you're looking at the other teams who are already being knocked out of the URC, you could have someone like a Juan Horn, or maybe, you know, some people are saying Apulele Fasi could be a good option. It's just whether or not that man really steps up, but maybe that's what he needs, a Springbok call-up to help him step up and play his best rugby. I've got the YouTube and the like button from Robert. But yeah, anyone who is new, be sure to hit that subscribe button, because also after that Leinster versus Ulster game, we are going to be covering the contest taking place between, well, the Glasgow Warriors and the Stormers. Now that is going to be the 6:35 a.m. kickoff here in New Zealand, so about 4 hours, 15 minutes. Also alongside that, after that game, we are going to find out exactly who is in the Springbok squad, and we will be announcing that on the channel as well. So there's plenty more to come today. Wigan, a tough Northern English team, beat the Penrith Panthers, the World Club Cup final. Says Manny M. I believe the year prior to that, though, the Panthers managed to win it up against one of the North sides as well, though. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Benetton come out in the second half, because their first half wasn't terrible. You know, they conceded the 2 tries, which of course they will be a little bit disappointed about. We have got the gift of membership from Robert. Thank you very much, mate. Greatly appreciated. But at the same time as conceding those 2 tries, they actually, they had the opportunity to score 3. Because, of course, they got that one of Onisi Ratave. We then saw that cancelled out try of Onisi Ratave a little bit earlier due to poor discipline from Federico Rusa. And then we also saw that drop ball from Garbisi right at the end of the half. So, you know, theoretically, Benetton could still be in this game if they can get a few more results together. I think Wigan could do well in the NRL. Says many in. I mean, they probably could, although, of course, the travel would kind of suck, wouldn't it? League is popular in 3 or 4 countries, Australia, New Zealand, UK, and France. And also the likes of Tonga as well have got quite a large rugby league base. Something like a Papua New Guinea is their national sport. Bulls are there for the taking, says Bill. And yeah, I think that the big thing for the Bulls in the second half is just going to be get the basics right throughout the second 40 minutes. Because in terms of the stats, yes, there's a few that aren't in their favour. They've had less possession, they've had less territory, but they've beaten, or they've had more clean breaks, and they've also had 10 defenders beaten throughout that first half. So they are in a position where they can win this game. They just have to make sure that they are doing the simple things right, not giving away too many penalties. Looking at their bench, it is going to be for the Bulls, Ache van der Merwe, Martin Zima and Klopper as the front row, Ludwig and Kirsten as the other forward replacements, and then also Keegan Johannes, Chris Smith and Sergio Pedersen, who has already made his way onto the field. That is for the injury of Kutle Arnsa, and we are still waiting to find out whether or not that man will be able to return in this matchup, or whether he has failed his HIA and won't be able to return in this quarterfinal. For the bench of Benetton, they've got Lucchese, Spagnolo, and Zalochi as the front row, Snyman and Kanone as their forward replacements. We have already seen the change of Garbisi. That is for the HIA of Malakai Fekitoa. And then Jacob Umanga yet to make his way onto the field for Benetton as well. We have there Tonga, Papua New Guinea, Samoa, Cook Islands even. I think there is only a league in USA, pretty much. Says, cool story, bro. So you can't compare them. Only in Australia, league more popular than Union. So I think only in Australia and New Zealand are well paid. If the Bulls win this match by 5 goal, BC will be having a nightmare for a few nights. And that's past my jail time. Says, cool story, bro. How many points did Benetton leave out there? Probably, honestly, probably 12 or 14, which would have put them close to the lead in this contest. Stormers play at 9:30 South Africa time. Yeah, it's pretty brutal in terms of when that game is going to be starting. But then at the same time, like, that means that the Springbok squad announcement is actually going to be at 11:30 South African time, I believe. I'll just quickly check. Okay, so they are going to be actually playing at, it will be 8:30 p.m. South African time, and that game will finish at 10:30 p.m. South African time. You'll see a different Bulls in the second half. So here's Monet Lagrange. We have French Rugby League clubs playing in the English League. And also, we had a Canadian team in the English Super League a few years ago. I did not know that. Of course, Canada actually doing all right in some of their rugby. At the moment, Rugby 7's not so much, unfortunately getting demoted from the 7 circuit, which was a massive shame for them. Same with Samoa. For the first time since the competition has started, the Samoans will not be involved in a season of the 7 circuit. And that is actually the first time since I was born that they won't be on the circuit, although they are still taking part in the Olympics. Second half, I don't think will be too far away. What match is next? The next match is Ulster versus Leinster. It's going to be a home game at the Aviva for the Leinster boys. Hoping to put in a big performance there. And of course, if they do win that game and all of the top 4 win their contest, then we will actually see Leinster heading to South Africa next week to play the Bulls in the semi-final. That is if the Bulls get themselves the win here. Okay, that's before lights out. Thanks for the match time, Hamish. See, here's cool story, bro. They were known as the Toronto Wolfpack. Google it, Hamish, says Manny M. Yeah, the second half, I think, is going to be a crucial one for the Bulls. Like I mentioned, they had a few errors in that first half, mainly the handling. The Toronto Wolfpack was the Canadian team, played in the Super League, not too shabby either. Says Sebastian there. Do let me know your end score predictions in this game, ladies and gentlemen. We will have to drink plenty of water throughout this evening as the voice is, it's lasting for now, but I feel like at some stage soon it might disappear, which would be a bit unideal. Is unideal a word? Don't think so. Well, Munster get a home semi-final, they will, yep. And if they win their semi-final, they will have a home final as well, seeing as they were top qualifiers. I think Benetton will turn this around 21-20. Ooh, okay. And 32 points to 15. Says bystander there as well. But like I said, the next game is going to be kicking off in an hour and 30 minutes time. That is Ulster versus Leinster. And we are, of course, going to be covering that one on the channel as well. Knowledge has said the Bulls try a drop of whiskey. Says Manny M. And Miami Sharks, Springboks, and 3 is the Auckland Blues. Possession stat, like I mentioned, in favour of Benetton. They gave away 4 penalties, which is still pretty low for a half of rugby. The Bulls only given away the 2 penalties throughout that first half, but Benetton actually having more running meters throughout the first half. Fun fact, I did not know there's 2 Samoas, American Samoa and Samoa. You learn something every day. The school system is not so good here, giggle giggle. Says Robert there, although American Samoa, I believe if I'm correct, is not a country, but instead a, what's it called, a province? I can't remember the right word for it, but I don't think it counts as a country. It's a territory, that's the word I was after. I think it's a territory of the USA, isn't it? Yeah, it's a US territory. American Samoa. Right. They've just mentioned there, Kurtley Ardense has not returned to the field. So he has failed his HIA, ladies and gentlemen, and that's going to be knocked on from Ambroise Papia off the kickoff. If you lose the voice, you can tap in Distracted Tony, although he'll probably be asleep at the moment, with it being 2:30 a.m. New Zealand time. And whereas the URC final this year depends on who's the top qualifier, but at the moment, there's a chance that it will either be at the Aviva, the Thorntman Park, I think, is where Munster would have it, Loftus, or probably Glasgow's home stadium, which I can't remember the name of. Like, one of those 4 top sides have a very good chance of having the home final, but then at the same time, some of the sides outside of that top 4, if there's enough upsets, maybe, oh, it's a big scrum from Benetton, and they have won themselves the early penalty in the second half. If they take the 3, this will put them within 7, which I feel wouldn't be a bad idea. Bulls is on fire, says Julian Moses. English team had to travel to Canada to play 1 game. How are the Blues doing? As good as 2003? I wouldn't say as good as 2003, but they're doing better this season than they have in past years. You know, they've only lost 2 games at this point. And Canada are planning to enter a new team in the English Super League. Find it a bit ridiculous that rugby leagues have finals, like how? Says Knowledge. Now, Rhino Smith, he did miss 1 earlier on. And South African teams always travel to Europe for just 1 game. Says Knowledge. Yeah, this would make the score 11 points to 17, which well and truly gets Benetton back into this game because they would be within 7. Now, talking about the odds for this contest, Benetton... No way. Oh, no, okay, that makes more sense. I was about to say, Benetton were $1.87 underdogs. And I couldn't quite believe it, but that is because there was the plus 14.5. So that pretty much means that they would be within 15 points of the Bulls. I feel like they'll have a good chance of being there. Oh, I see Zhang, welcome in. You are keeping well. Benetton. I've got the ball now inside of their 22. A bit of a surprise of how good Benetton seemed to be. So here's Knowledge. I mean, last time they were in South Africa, they had an 89-point contest up against the Bulls, managing to score 35 points of their own. I do see that Malakai Fekitoa is back out on the field. There was almost a knock-on the ground from Benetton, now putting the ball on the outside to Onisi Ratave. It's been a real handful, but brilliantly done from Johan Grobela, who manages to get the turnover for the Vodacom Bulls. They are now inside of their own half. Horson slings it across to Villy LaRue, looking for the 50-22, and he hasn't quite got it, just outside of the 22. That ball has gone into touch. The Bulls aware of present time. Says good story, bro, and good for the Bulls to concentrate on now. And bring Arbisi on. He has great form and energy. Unfortunately, he's already on the field, Eric, and he blew a certain try. He dropped the ball from the inside pass of Onisi Ratave. That should have been an easy run-in, but he unfortunately did put it down. I agree that he's been in great form, but yeah, he's had an absolute stinker of a start to this matchup, unfortunately. I believe he's back off now, though, with Malakai Fekitoa making his way back out onto the field. But Sergio Pedersen now on the halfway line at the moment. Nice attack and run forward. Tackled by Federico Rusa. Now back across to the right-hand side. Hanukom. Good tackle made again by Thomas Albanoz. Back into the pocket to Villy LaRue. Going for the kick in behind and once again puts it into touch. Trying to play the territory game at the moment, the Bulls. Slowly working. And it seems like they are obsessed with just trying to continue playing that territory game. Although that is a big kick downfield from Benetton. Is it going to roll too far? It goes into the in-goal area. And now Villy LaRue will have to force this one. It becomes a goal line dropout. He'll be frustrated with that because their territory game just lost them about 70 metres there for the Bulls. I think Villy LaRue's just saying, I didn't expect them to take it quickly and boot that ball down towards us. 9-4 sounds like the replacement stop kicking the ball. Villy can't win the game without the ball, says Werner. Yeah, I feel like that was one of those moments that he really realised that, like, willing to boot that ball back to your opposition's one thing, but then when they decide that they're willing to then kick it towards you, oh, right, Garbisi back on the field. He will be hoping that no one remembers the fact that he came onto the field and dropped that certain try. He'll be hoping that everyone assumes that he's just got out there and starting the match now. Down towards the halfway line, nicely taken. Oh, drop kick attempt from the halfway line here for Benetton. And that was relatively close. But it's gone away to the left-hand side for Thomas Albanoz. A bit of a risky tactic there for Benetton. It almost paid off. But the long dropout does go away to the side. They've got the 22 dropout now here for the Bulls. John Horson making sure everyone is back, and they will now go with a long kick. My bad, it's windy here. There's Eric. Now this time it is going to be Alejandro Garbesi. It's going to be knocked on from Thomas Albanoz here. Then knocked on by Gerhard Stenekamp. We will go back for the original knock on. Garbesi is onto the field for Uren. Now he was playing in that back line when he made his way onto the field for Jacob Umunga. And Nicolo Canoni has also come onto the field. That is for the number 4. My eyes are looking pretty bloodshot at the moment, ladies and gents. We're currently sitting 2:30 a.m. here in New Zealand. We've still got 2 more games coming up today. This will be our 4th game in a row that we have been covering on the channel. I'm yet to see someone take a short kick from the goal line dropout. Everyone just hoofs it upfield. Although one team did actually take it short. Was it in Super Rugby? Someone took it and went only about 5 metres out, kicked it straight into the hands of the opposition, and the opposition scored. So that's probably why you often see sides kicking it a lot further, because anytime a side has tried to go short, they have conceded a try from a massive error. And now Sergio Pedersen, now tackle well, Onesi Ratave onto the ball and gets the turnover for Benetton. He's been a standout in this game. Now Albanoz, they're trying to hold him up, and he managed to get the ball to the ground. Now Garbisi. Slowly moving just a little bit further forward here for Benetton. Looks like Onesi Ratave may have some sort of injury. Of course, they will be hoping he gets straight up back to his feet to continue playing. Been told not to play at that one there for Benetton. Yanni De Beer, 5 drop goals versus England, legend. Now back across to the left-hand side. Onesi Ratave only just making his way back up to his feet. And now he has to try and run alongside Villy LaRue. That will test him out. Oh, that ball almost stayed in the field of play. Aka must go on now, says Werner. Sergio Pedersen, great tackle made on him by Malakai Fekitoa, and then Onesi Ratave getting over the ball. They ended up with a little bit of cramp after making that tackle, or the turnover, in the breakdown. It looks like he's struggling a little bit here, but he will want to continue in this contest. I should also mention, ladies and gentlemen, there is another game taking place at this current point in time, and that is the final of the Premiership. Currently, Northampton winning that game 15 points to 8 over Bath. We'll keep you updated about that game as it does progress. But I don't think we're too far away from seeing a couple more subs being made for these two sides. I think that it is definitely going to be an important one not to gas out too early. If you are Benetton, they've got the 6-2 split. That one's going to be over the top. Nicely taken by Thomas Albanoz. Wrestled down by Cameron Hanekom. It doesn't get the turnover. Mug is so good because all hot drinks will last 12 hours. See, his pads ablaze. You said you had the equivalent of 4 cups of Milo, didn't you? In it. Now going to be rolling this one back for Garbisi. Once again, we'll go for the box kick here. Benetton are within the 7. Nicely taken by Sebastian de Klerk. Wrestled down by Onesi Ratave. The ball is out, so it is going to be play on. Wilco Low now hits it up at Ezekor. Papier. He will go for the box kick of his own. We expected Benetton to start slowing down by now, but it does seem like the fact that they are still in this contest has kept them well and truly hunting. That is a massive shot on Garbisi from Cameron Hanekom, who's hurt his shoulder in the process. You wouldn't have thought that a number 8 who was massive would have come off second best up against a halfback. Milo in New Zealand, good to know. Cold stuff lasts 24 hours. See his pads ablaze, but yeah, it looks like Cameron Hanekom has hurt himself from going for the big shot here. Am I the only one that sees a single knockout format as unfair? In what regard? Knowledge, like compared to, I guess, what competition? The league, I guess? Or I guess in football you have the aggregate situation, don't you? But yeah, big shot coming in from Cameron Honeycomb. And then the penalty was actually won by the Bulls in the next breakdown. And they will take on the 3 points. Johan Goosen looking to extend this lead here. Get the Bulls back to the 9-point lead. Yeah, I drink a lot of it. Says Pedza. Will be Johan Goosen. Currently sitting 3 from 3 for today, so I don't think this one will be any different. Like I said, this will give the Bulls the 9-point lead in this fixture. Put them in a great position at this stage of the match. But now striking this one for the Bulls. It comes around and he has got it over for the Bulls. 20 points to 11 now for the home side. It's so good, Colt, especially. Says bystander. I will mention, I don't think that the Bulls are completely safe yet. I feel like they need 1 or 2 more tries to be really comfortable at this stage of the match. Yeah, I think Benetton just getting done for sealing off there. Looks like Kanoni is onto the field. That is for Halafehi, who makes his way from it. With 30 minutes remaining. Is this when we start to see Benetton tire? Or is this where we see them start to feel like they've still got a really good shot? Bulls must keep their cool, says Vernon. Exactly right. Like, they are in the box seat for this game. A nice tackle made on Cameron Honeycomb. I think he knocked that on as he was going down to ground. Yes, he did. Mike Adamson catches it. And it is now going to be the scrum feed here for Benetton again. At the moment, off the kickoffs, seems to be somewhere that the Bulls are really struggling with. We saw Ambrose Papia drop at the first ball that went to him in the second half. We've seen now Cameron Honeycomb on the return has dropped that ball also. Yeah, just gets it ripped out of his hands. Cameron Honeycomb there. Another scrum feed referring to how the league points do not matter at the end of the competition. It's up to the knockout stages to crown the league champions, although the league points do matter because that determines whether or not you've got the home field advantage. The likes of the Bulls, they finished second on the overall standing, so the only time they won't have a home field advantage is up against Munster in the final, if that is the way that it does work out. But yeah, it's pretty much for the sake of being able to have home field advantage. That is going to be Malakai Fekitoa. He's asking for a knock-on against the Bulls here. And the referee says, nope, it's going to be play on. Treated like a tablespoon dessert. On some days, great consistency. Here's bystander. Now kick downfield from Johan Goosen. Looking for the 50-22. It's going to go into touch on Nisi Ratave, unable to regather before that ball does roll out. And the Bulls fans very happy with that kick. Of course, they will also be very happy if they win this game. They will go on to face the winner of Leinster versus Ulster, which is happening just around the corner. Yeah, I think Malakai Fekitoa was actually saying that he was tackled before he had the ball in hand, and to be fair, he was right. Over to South African final, says Knowledge. Of course, the first ever URC final was Bulls versus Stormers. Second final was Stormers versus Munster. And the third one, all of those sides still alive to be able to make it a reality. Lucchese also onto the field. That is for Bonascorni. A little bit of a counter-up coming here from the Bulls. Then the penalty goes the way of the Bulls now again. Momentum is starting to shift in this contest, and it is shifting in the favour of the home side. Unfortunately there, Alejandro Garbisi again penalised. He's not had the best game since making his way onto the field. Also the cup too, so you can have more. A ladle for Mile. A big spoon for the mistress. Here's a bystander. And like they've just said, they should have had someone in that breakdown a long time before they got there. Surprised that Ulster fans think they have a chance against Leinster's current form. I mean, to be fair, Leinster lost in the final up against Toulouse, didn't they? And they let tries throughout that game. So I feel like that's something that maybe Ulster feel like they can make the most of. I mean, Leinster's last game, though, was a little bit one-sided. just go here and we'll go here. I believe they played Connor in their last game, and I think they won it by about 25 points. Something like that, 33 points to 7 in the end, so a 26-point margin. Now kick downfield, and he's missed there. Johan Huijsen, he doesn't miss too often, but after that penalty has not been converted, the score will remain at 20 points to 11. Ulster upset would be good. Says bystander, Bulls maintain 10-point lead, nothing more, nothing less. I'm baffled why the Bulls are not kicking for the line. Says Bertie V. And it's knockout rugby, it's win or nothing. Says Lollipop. Now, nicely taken by Johan Huijsen. He'll look to go with this ball nice and high with the up and under. Maybe got a little bit too much distance on it. Albanoz with the short ball now going away to Rhino Smith. Bulls in terms of those breakdowns have had a lot more success though throughout this second half. Looks like now Benetton going to run it up towards their 40-metre line. Onesi Ratave, he spotted space on the short side, looking for that next pass, gets it away to Garbisi, who isolated himself, and the ref says it's out. I think he almost was able to keep that ball in there, Garbisi. Toulon is just DuPont's playground. We scrum half after the great Aaron Smith, but Onesi Ratave going to the short side. Sebastian de Klerk has had no answer for the way that Ratave has played throughout this game. Right, I want to see this foot of Alejandro Garbisi. Does he go into touch or just before he flicked that ball away? Great tackle made by Villy LaRue, isolated in terms of his space. Natave is currently ranked 7th in the overall URC standings. You can understand why with runs like that. I don't see a way of how that could ever happen. And there are a few best scrum halves. Says Werner and Bulls sweating. Says cool story bro. Bulls without Kirtley Alden saying Moody is not the same. Now nicely taken by Onesi Ratave on the halfway line, just straightens, runs at Sebastian de Klerk, who's still willing to make those big tackle attempts on Ratave, even though he's been running at him all day. Albanoz. Now across, Brex with the skip pass, going away to Manoncello. Actually ends up making two Bulls players tackle each other and skips his way through. Now Kanoni moves out to 25 metres out from the line here for Benetton. Albanoz going in behind again to Malachi Fekitoa. They've got numbers here to work with. Onesi Ratave. Oh, that's a clothesline from Johan Huijsen. It is a high shot. It is an ugly one too on Onesi Ratave. The Stormers have to bring it home. Says Knowledge. Garbisi should be beeline for the corner there. Feel for the guy at this point. Says bystander and Vinavesta and Fori. Says Werner. Right, they've called it as just a penalty for the high tackle. Yeah, drags him down in an awkward fashion there for Johan Huijsen. It rides up, and then from there, just drags him backwards. It will just be the penalty. I think Lamaro's trying to say that he's dragged him backwards in an awkward position. And he said Ratave, though, looks like he's going to be able to continue in this game. He's the game changer at the moment for this Benetton side. Do they want the 3 here for Benetton, or do they take on the corner? I honestly think this is one of those times that maybe even the corner is your best option. Just with where they are positioned on the field. It's not going to be an easy 3 points to line up. But yeah, Onesi Ratave's certainly been that X factor for them in this contest, just running over the top of Sebastian de Klerk about 4 different occasions throughout this matchup. Wonder what the next international game is at the Shark Tank. Jesus was the best, or was in his era the best, says Werner. Right, Benetton have got the line-out chance. Trying to steal that one was Ruan Nokia, but the rolling ball for Benetton for the first time in this matchup. It's going to be shut down nice and early. Luke Casey trying to make his way forward. Nassim Carr manages to stop him. Now going short, Frank, or in fact, it was Michel Lamaro. 10 metres out. Benetton need to score now if they can get themselves one. They're back in this contest. Now Garbisi, short ball to Fekitoa. Garbisi again going off to Kanoni. Looks like he's already bleeding, and he's only been on the field for about 5 or 10 minutes. Run from Juan Inesio Brex. Now Garbesi goes short side to Albanoz, and they are through for the try there for Benetton as they get back into this contest by just that little bit more. They have come to play in this game, ladies and gentlemen. They are a side that have decided that they do not want to be easily defeated like they were last time they faced the Bulls. They are in this contest for the long haul, and Albanoz just goes through the gap. Gerhard Stenechamp, I have no idea how he ended up having to try and defend up against the number 10 when everyone else left the gap the size of South Africa. For Albanoz to be able to run through Munster at home will be difficult, says Werner. I'm a Stormers fan, but hell, says bystander. Bulls team switching off again. Second half is their kryptonite, says Justin. Yeah, Benetton staying within an inch here in this contest. Rhino Smith now lining up this kick. There's still 21 minutes remaining in this contest as well for Benetton. The Bulls need another try, but they have not been able to score a try since Kurtley Arendse made his way from the field. He is the only player who's been able to score in this contest up against Benetton. The crowd booing Rhino Smith at the moment, trying to distract him. Crowd getting restless, crowd getting nervous that their side might be blowing it here. And Rhino Smith has got that kick straight over. Much to the crowd's disgust, that's going to make the score 20 points to 18. Bulls thought it was going to be easy, says Werner. Yeah, Benetton coming in as massive underdogs into this contest, but they have shown some great grit and great fight throughout this game, not giving up yet. Onisi Ratave, he's got to be close to man of the match if they were able to pull off a victory here, but of course this game is far from over, still 20 minutes remaining, and how much will that altitude start to play factor? Bulls might pull a 1-point win, says Knowledge. Going to be kicked off long. Rhino Smith takes it inside of his 22. Now looking for the touchline, and that is a great kick downfield towards the halfway line. Netherlands 15-2, 4 overs in, says Justin. And Jake White must be shaking his head right now and chewing his gum, says bystander. Yeah, this is not the game that Jake White would have been anticipating, because they bet them, like they scored 56 points the last time they were head-to-head with Benetton, and that's not to say that they can't get into the 30s, because I honestly do believe if the Bulls start finding their momentum, they can score 2 or 3 more tries in the remaining time, but it's whether or not they can get that momentum in the designated time left. Acha van der Merwe, though, he could be a big game changer for them with the amount of tries that he has scored throughout this season. Harold Foster runs it flat at Thomas Albanoz. Our attitude can beat altitude, says Ilmar. And there as well, we're currently on the halfway line. Wilco low. Game on, 2 points difference here, says Blues Nate. Now Bruce Papier puts it high. Sebastian de Klerk chasing after this one. Is going to be a tough one to claim, but he has managed to slap it back onto the sides of the Bulls. Johan Goosen thought about a kick. He's going to have a run himself here for Johan Goosen. Gets it away to Umbros Papier. Wide cutout pass, and David Creel will score it. The Bulls get their first try since Arendse went off the field. Anyone holding a Benetton betting ticket, even just points, has got to be giddy right about now, says Gus. If Benetton win, do we consider it as an upset? Absolutely. They came in as massive underdogs. They came in ranked 7th in this contest, and the Bulls have just scored themselves another try, so that may have just taken away that possibility. And try-time Bulls are much better by the Bulls. Says Betty V, an upset? Yes, says Werner. My man David Creel, I mean, when he needs to step up, he certainly does. Bros Puppy, a nice try, redeems the early F-up, says Lollipop. But yeah, great run from Johan Goosen. Decided against the kick, which actually became one of his best decisions throughout this whole second half, because he could have ended up running that one, or he could have ended up kicking it first and going from there, but he decided he needed to take on the line, which is exactly what he did, and he gets himself pretty much a try assist. David Creel, that is now his 11th try throughout this URC season. Lining up this kick for Johan Goosen, and this will give the lead back to the Bulls by the 9 points if this one goes over. Is Arendse injured? He did take a head knock earlier on in the game, has not returned to the field, which does mean he's more than likely going to be missing next week, as well as maybe the week after if the Bulls do make it that far. A good thing I'm in the jailhouse. It's cold outside and I need the Bulls to warm my heart and score. They just have to defend. And if the Bulls win and the Stormers win, do the Stormers play Bulls in the semis? They do not. The Bulls will face the winner of Leinster versus Ulster. Stormers, if they were to win, would face Munster. Oh, another mistake off the kickoff. This time, Willie LaRue is the man who has dropped it cold. That is 3 times now that they have dropped the ball off a reset here for the Bulls in the second half. And now it gives Benetton the perfect opportunity to attack again. They've still got their scrum advantage. In fact, no. Referee says that that advantage is over. Now, Malakai Fekitoa hits the ball up. Now, short side, Garbisi goes away to Manoncello. Schoolboy era, Villy. Says Lollipop. In there as well, if the Bulls don't score, Benetton will win. Says Julian Moses. Eli Sneyman. Set up again. Now, Albanos. That's going to be a deliberate knockdown. Or at least it's going to be considered as a knockdown or a knock-on from the Bulls. A bit too soon, but who do you have as the final contenders? I honestly do think Munster are going to be very hard to beat throughout this URC season, so I'd probably say Munster Bulls or Munster Leinster for me are the two most likely. I don't think Hudson actually got too much on that. It's going to be called as the knock-on. And now I believe Benetton have got themselves the scrum. I'm just looking around to see who actually has the ball. I believe it will be Garbisi in this case. A bit too soon. Oh no, I read that one, didn't I? Yeah, 22 metres out from the line now. Chance for Benetton to add some more points. Bulls Munster in the final. Hopefully we play Stormers at home, says Werner. But yeah, that's the thing. If it was Stormers Munster in the final, or are you talking Munster? Because, of course, Munster would be at home up against the Stormers next week. I hate to say it, but Leinster versus Munster final, says bystander. I mean, it is a possibility, an all-Irish final taking place. Of course, for the South African sides, that is the last thing that they would want. They'd love an all-South African final. If it's available, Leinster failed at the Champions Cup, mate. The Bulls will humble them. We've got to remember, though, the Bulls also failed at the Champions Cup. They got knocked out in the quarters by Northampton, getting beaten by about 30 points. Now, of course, that was a second-string team that they sent into that competition. Jake White making it clear that that competition wasn't his priority, and instead the URC qualification in terms of where they were ranked was. So he has to make sure that he goes far in the competition now because of that decision. If Villy is good, he's good. But when he's not, he's bad, says Werner. A bit too inconsiderate of the South African sides, although he's still picking 2 sides inside of the top 4, so I feel like that's not too, out there, you know. It's like saying if it was going to be, let's say, Glasgow versus Munster or Glasgow versus the Bulls, you're still picking 2 sides inside of the top 4. And we've got to remember all of those top 4 sides all had the same amount of wins throughout the regular season with 13. But now in behind, oh, little skip pass. Rhino Smith flicks it out the back door. Malakai Fekitoa. Has he knocked it on? No, they've said it's gone backwards. Philly has to prove one of his shocking assists. Or has to provide one of his shocking assists. Says Knowledge. Now 10 metres out from the line here for Benetton. They're closing in on another possibility of the try. Garbisi now. Looks like the Bulls are pretty slow getting back on defence here. Makes you wonder whether or not maybe fatigue is starting to set in for them as well. Malakai Fekitoa for the corner. Scores the try. He's been chopped late by Ruanoki. He's going to be all right, but that is another try for Benetton, ladies and gentlemen. They are into this contest. Again, if the Stormers win and play Munster, you've mentioned you think Munster will win. Obviously would love an All-South African final, says bystander. The back line of Benetton once again proving extremely handy. And Albanos gets it out wide to Malakai Fekitoa. Looks like he got awkwardly chopped by Ruanoki. I don't think did it on purpose. He was more so trying to slide through and make that tackle. But like they're saying, it could have been quite ugly there. In 2020, David Creel would have 4 tries by now, says Knowledge. Malakai Fekitoa, that is his 4th career try. Come on, Bulls FFS, says bystander. And Stormers and the Bulls will play in the final. So you're saying a repeat of the first inaugural URC competition. And I think the Bulls need to survive this first. And that's the thing, like, they can't look too far in the future. They can look at those next games all they want, but they have to win this one first, which at the moment is sitting pretty close, 27 points to 23, with still 13 minutes remaining. Okay, Hamish, coming in the truck with me. We got errands to do. There's Robert. Do you reckon Pikatoa deserves a call up with the All Blacks again? No, because he's recently played for Tonga, so he has to play for Tonga again, unless he waits 3 years. But Rhino Smith has missed that one away to the side, so that means that Benetton currently down by total of 4 points. Like they've just said, an unconverted try would get Benetton into the lead. Where's Yuri Muller? When you need him, says Good Story Bro. This is a final, and a final is always tough. Bulls will win this game, says Charlie. 12 minutes remaining. Benetton have well and truly impressed throughout this game. And don't get me wrong, like the Bulls have had some really good players throughout this contest. I feel like, Kukli Ardenson scoring his 2 tries early on. He has been really impressive. It's a shame that he ended up getting that head knock. And that's going to be a loose ball there. Benetton actually leaving it. And now it means that the ball is there for the Bulls. Decide to get up and go again. Cannot afford to concede a try or at least even give away a penalty at this stage of the contest here for Benetton. And behind Villy LaRue with the skip pass. Our wide to Sebastian de Klerk, whose feet were in touch. And it's now going to be the line out for Benetton inside of their 22. Long way to go. Other wingers for the Bulls, Sebastian de Klerk and also Sergio Peterson, the two who are out there at the moment. No Kane Moody due to a finger injury in the last game up against the Sharks. And no Kukli Ardenson due to a failure of his HIA in the first half. 10 minutes is too long to hang on. Got to play. Says Cool Story Bro. Just went into touch there, Sebastian de Klerk. Looks like Jacob Umaga now going to make his way onto the field. I hope that that's not for Thomas Albanoz, because he has looked fantastic. It's actually going to be for Rhino Smith, who has also had a very solid game for Benetton. But I mentioned about it, Benetton actually, they had a good win over the Sharks. They've had some decent performances when playing in South Africa throughout this season. And this one's going to be no different. They have looked very good throughout this game. Let's go Finn Russell, bring it home, lads. Says Blues Nate. Yeah, currently Northampton versus Bath at the moment, taking place in the Premiership. Currently halftime in that contest, 15 points to 10 in favour of Northampton. But the next game that we are covering on the channel for the URC is going to be the matchup between Leinster and Ulster, ladies and gents. That one is going to be kicking off in just 48 minutes or so's time. Closer to an hour, but of course we are starting 10 minutes beforehand. Nicely claimed, uncontested there at line-out time. Now Garbisi goes across to Canoni. And Rhino Smith, the Italian international. I'm not actually too sure where his origin is for Rhino Smith. And at least no cards here. And the Northampton Bath have a red card to Bath early. Sad for Bath. Says Jonathan. Kicked high from Villy LaRue. Inside of the 22 and well taken by Albanoz. Oh, bit of push and shove there from Rhino Smith. He's pretty much saying, don't push me or I will push you back. So he wasn't who Jacob Umaga made his way onto the field for. And it wasn't Albanoz, so maybe it was Fikatoa. Maybe it was Juan Inacio Brex. That one's going to go into touch. Banana kick from Albanoz does go into the half of the Bulls. Finn has been playing so well. Rhino is from South Africa. Says 123 MS. But now Acha van der Merwe. It's from Free State Cheetahs. Is Acha on yet? Yeah, he's been on for about 30 minutes. At this stage, Acha van der Merwe. Rolling ball now looking very good for the Bulls. Breaking off the back. Now here comes van der Merwe. Running low on space. Right near the touchline. But he stays in the field of play. Getting the Bulls out to about 30 metres from the Benetton line. Now Martin Zima. Running forward. Now across Papier. Goes to Ruan Nokia. Oh, took a knee to the face from his own teammate there. That's a bit unfortunate for him. Elric Lowe tackled again. Benetton's defence has looked pretty solid, making 80% of their tackles throughout the first half compared to the 84% that we did see from the Bulls. Now back across Martin Zima. Goes to Johan Goosen on the halfway line. Villy LaRue kicking the ball away again. He's done it often. And that one's going to go into touch. It won't be a 50-22, but he's trying to trap them inside of their own 22 here, Villy LaRue. Last time he did the kick like that, though, it led to them losing about 70 metres. And Bulls have played some of the best rugby I've seen this year, really strong stuff. In this game, Gary, like this one that we're watching now, Rhino is world class. It doesn't matter now. His cousin has been running so badly. He isn't even in the top 10 in the Diamond Sprint League. Now it's claimed by Benetton inside of the 22. Attack and run forward from Kanoni. Moves it closer to the 22. How much time left? Still 8 minutes remaining in this contest. Next try will almost win this game. Going to be slapped back for Benetton. They've managed to claim it. And they have thrown this one into touch. The Bulls are going to take this one quickly. Or at least they wanted to. A runner from South Africa. Looks like an injury here for Mononcello. It's a Giselin Colby, 2 times World Cup rugby winner wing. Says Ritzema. But I think Smith has come out for Azuri. But not sure. Going to see it there. Yeah, Mononcello manages to knock it backwards. Bulls keep playing them against themselves. Bulls have been bad all games, says Knowledge. There's a Welsh side left. There are no Welsh teams left in the competition. The Ospreys were the remaining Welsh side, but then they were knocked out in their recent game up against Munster. Jake White, of course, he will still be relatively nervous in this one. Achafanamurva, 21st in the overall URC rankings. Bring the facts and stats respect. Says a bystander there as well, but it is going to be the line out throw here for the Bulls, and they're rolling more since Achafanamurva has made his way onto the field. Has looked a lot more strong, a lot more ability out there. Tackles made though, 145 for the Bulls. Only 54 tackles made by Benetton. So the perfect way to not have altitude play a factor is to not have to make a lot of tackles. The Bulls almost making an extra 100. They've been told to use it once. Benetton doing well to stop this one. Now Achafanamurva breaks off the back. Going to be dragged down again. Of course, the Bulls would love a 7 here, but they would take the 3. Yes, Hamish Bulls are a class outfit. The Welshmen have struggled to keep up the power of South Africa. Well, there's so much wrong with that statement, Gary, because the Bulls have had one of their shakier games over the last few weeks. A lot of people would say they were far from their best in this game. Also, Benetton are Welsh, so that's a thing rather than, are Italian rather than Welsh. Like you mentioned, that is going to be the penalty, though, to the Bulls. Plus, people felt this was going to be a one-sided affair in favour of the Bulls. So, you know, it certainly hasn't gone how people felt that it would. If the Bulls lose, it's over for South Africa. It's what makes South Africa run away to Van Nijkerk so special. Colby's nephew. I wish we were able to watch the Springbok series documentary, Chasing the Sun, season 1 and 2. I actually haven't, believe it or not. We've got then Ospreys versus Munster. Says, cool story, bro. But now 6 minutes remaining. This will give the Bulls a 7-point lead. 27-23 in the second half. What? Says the Bulls, yeah, it certainly hasn't gone the way that a lot of people anticipated. Remember, the Box won all the 3 final games of the World Cup with 1 point, and they won the World Cup. Says Charlie, but that is going to be over from Johan Goosen. Now making the score 30 points to 23. If Benetton want to win this game, they need a converted try. And then that would put them into an extra time situation, which would be an extra 20 minutes of action, ladies and gentlemen, if we did go that far. Now, the possibility of that happening, of course, should be relatively slim, but every time that Benetton have kicked off for the Bulls in the second half, they have dropped the ball and they've dropped it again. That is 5 or so in a row that they have put down off the kickoffs. I don't know what has happened to the Bulls. Anytime they've received the ball, they have dropped it at this point. No one called for it. I think that Kirsten in the end said, okay, I guess I have to go for it. And then he ends up dropping the ball as well. Benetton's still in with a shot. As Eleanor's doing, chasing the fern. It's about not kicking straight. Says, cool story, bro. That was poor by the Bulls, although it has been all throughout the second half for the Bulls. Aka has been playing like a madman, strength, power, and intensity. Now, you are correct in that regard, Gary, as opposed to your recent statement, but that one is correct. Achafanamurva, always a dangerous option. There is a reason He's within that top 25 of the URC power rankings. And sub 20 seconds. It must be a lot of wind out there or something. Nah. Just poor decision making from the Bulls off kickoff. Like, there was no problem for Benetton under the high ball in that first half. It just seems to be something's got in their head that has stopped them from being able to claim their ball. But now, going off the back, here comes a big run forward from Juan Inicio Brex. They are currently 10 metres out from the line. Garbisi goes to Albanos. Can they get over? That is a big question. Hopefully Springbok again this year, says Werner. Yeah, he's almost played himself into that jersey, hasn't he, with the way that he's gone throughout this URC. Although it depends on what they look for in the Springboks as well. We've got to remember Rassie Erasmus may be looking at the future rather than the past. So that may be what leaves Acha van der Merwe out. Only 5 metres out from the line at the moment here. Garbesi going across to Albanos. Now Jacob Umaga putting the step down. Manages to find the offload. 5 metres from the try line yet again here for Benetton. Is an on and off player. He's not ready for Test rugby. Says Knowledge. Now around the side. They've been told to use it. Stalling quite a bit there for Benetton. It's certainly been a great performance from the underdogs in a game that not many people even gave them half a sniff. They have looked very strong throughout this game. What if a draw? Then we go to extra point time or extra time, which is 20 minutes. So it would mean that this game goes very close to the end or the start of Leinster versus Ulster. Great driving tackle from Acha van der Merwe and Martin Zema getting rid of Ezekor. Now Garbisi going across to Albanos. They're looking for a gap and they haven't really been able to find it as of yet. Martin Zema tackles Albanos. Garbisi going back across here to Juan Inicio Brex. It's got ball security here from Benetton. They've put together 13 phases. Malachi Fekitoa trying to wrestle himself down to the turf. They've been told to leave it there for the Bulls. Now Mikel Lamaro, the captain. Garbisi goes short to Ezekor. Great goal line defence from the Bulls. But how long can it hold on for Manoncello? In fact, it was Juan Inicio Brex who drops that ball and it's kicked downfield. And then Jacob Umaga. I thought he was in touch, but it's going to be play on. Manoncello going for the kick of mind. Well cleaned up by Ruan Nokia. And the Bulls are back in possession yet again. Only 2 minutes remaining. Rhino Smith tried to get the turnover and couldn't quite do it. One more penalty would win this game for the Bulls. And it looks like they're trying to close out this last 2 minutes of just using their big forwards here. And Ambrose Papia going back across. Benetton will know that they are running out of time. Too many good forwards in the Springboks. Acha might have to wait till Franz retires or something. Or he might be in the bomb squad. Now, this one's going to be kicked high. Jacob Umaga, the knock on. And that might just about be the game. And now looking to pass it out wide to Willie LaRue. It's kicked forward by Juan Inicio Brex, but they will return for the original knock on. And that might just about be the end of the game, ladies and gentlemen. This has been quite an entertaining quarterfinal, a lot closer than any of the Super Rugby finals that we have seen so far. Even with the shakiness, Bulls have shown the power, says Gary, and what a game. And yeah, just 1 minute remaining now on the clock for the Bulls to be able to close out this one. But Jacob Umaga, he's been a little bit shaky since he made his way onto the field. The Bulls were good when they played the offloading game, which they did for a few minutes. Says Lollipop, in respect to Benetton. Yeah, massive performance from this Italian side that, like I mentioned, not many people gave them a chance. And they've come into this game and they've stepped up in a way that many people didn't think they could. The last time that they played the Bulls, they conceded 56 points. Yes, they scored 35 of their own, but it was certainly not the performance that they were after. They got a bonus point, though, which actually in the end helped them get to where they were on the table. I'm sure there will be some success in the future for this Benetton side as well. But this will now confirm that the Bulls, if they do win this game, they would be through to the semi-final to take on the winner of Leinster versus Ulster, which is, of course, just around the corner. That game going to be kicking off in 45 minutes' time. We are covering that one on the channel as well, ladies and gents. So if you are new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Of course, be sure to check out the video later on today when we announce the Springboks squad that has taken on the Welsh. The Bulls players, if they win this game, will not be eligible to play in that contest. 11 handling errors from the Bulls, 12 from Benetton. So actually quite a high number for both of these sides throughout this contest. But in the end, some of those crucial errors from Benetton have ended up costing them. And thanks for the coverage, Chamber. Says bystander, no worries at all. He's had more possession. I believe Benetton would actually be up there for the possession stat. There is going to be a collapse of the scrum. So we're going to see another scrum reset here. NRL should have exhibition games in South Africa. Oh, looks like a bit of push and shove now between the front rows. Looks like there was an injury to one of the Benetton forwards, so they were trying to back up the Bulls, who were trying to stand all over him. And Leinster's going to dominate. Bulls versus Leinster is going to be a great game. I'd still bet the Bulls by 12, says Gary. And so versus the Bulls final, says Charlie Mike. And yeah, with the Bulls getting through, it is at least a little bit of a possibility now. Thanks so much, you are a treasure. Says 123 MS there as well. But yeah, the next game, like I said, it's going to be taking place in only about 45 minutes time. We are covering that one on the channel alongside the game after that between Glasgow and the Stormers. So if you are new to the channel, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. As a South African, I miss Super Rugby. URC feels like a second division competition, says Fabio there. At least the Bulls, I've had to fight hard, but they've got themselves the win here. Another scrum reset. This is going to use up the rest of the remaining time in this match. If Benetton aren't careful, the Bulls are going to use this clock very strategically and just get themselves in a position where they cannot go on to lose this game. Super Rugby was the best, says Werner. Now, another scrum feed. 25 seconds remaining. The only thing that would change this game now is if the Benetton side get themselves either a penalty or a free kick at scrum time. Where does the semi-final take place? This semi-final for the Bulls would be at Loftus, due to them being the top qualifier. Elric Lowe now breaking off the back. Albinoz wanting to get that turnover. They've been told to release him. They didn't do it. And the penalty now goes against Benetton. They know that they made the mistake as well. They stripped it from a player who was already down on his knee, and that is going to more than likely close out this game. Scrum reset should have the clock off, waste of time otherwise. Says Lollipop, and Bulls semi on Loftus, and the Bulls now, they will have the option of being able to just tap this one and boot it into touch. And that is exactly what they do. They will go through to the semi-final to face the winner at home up against Leinster or Ulster. That is the next one that has taken place. But the Bulls have advanced in what was a valiant effort from Benetton. The injury concerns, though, of course, for the Bulls. No Kane Moody, no Kurtley Arunsa. Who else is going to be missing for that next game? But I do thank you all very much for tuning in. Like I said, the next game, Leinster versus Ulster. That one will be kicking off in 40 minutes' time. We are starting the stream in 30. We will be ready to go for another match of the URC. Thanks for the commentary. Enjoy your sleep. I am still about 12 hours away from sleeping. We've already been up for over 12 hours already. We've got a big day ahead of us still with plenty more of the streams. And of course, after that Stormers versus Glasgow URC quarter final, we are going to find out who is in the Springbok squad for their games up against the Welsh, or their game up against the Welsh. The man is a vampire, says Lollipop. And there as well. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. Oh yeah, I've got there. Hamish, don't read our messages now. I mean, I wasn't reading all the ones about sprinting just because I don't know enough about sprinting to really know what's going on. And Hamish noticed that the beard is growing. Yeah, but it's not, is it? Like, I'm trying to grow it, but it's still very, very patchy, as you can see. Like, there's not a lot of structure to it. I think I'm going to have to shave it off again in the near future to try and at least slightly get it a bit better. But yeah, the next game we are doing is Leinster versus Ulster. For anyone who's wondering about the Premiership final that has taken place at the moment, it's 18-18 after 52 minutes. So while we're doing some editing in between streams, we will end up doing, or probably watching that Premiership. The money better be worth it. 12 hours is crazy. And this is when you find out that the channel doesn't really even break even. But like I've said, we always do these streams because we absolutely love doing them. Any money that the channel makes goes straight back into the channel, so I don't really pocket anything from staying up for 24 hours doing these streams. But if you guys have enjoyed this live stream, of course, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel as well. It is greatly appreciated, any support that you guys show in that regard. And the Bulls versus Ulster semi, well played Benetton. says a burning lash there. And thanks, Charlie says 123MS. Who does the Bulls play next? So yeah, they will go up against the winner of Ulster versus Leinster, and they will play in South Africa for the semi-final that will be taking place next week. So still plenty of action that is coming up. This channel is great, ladies and gents. Show love, says a bystander. Yeah, I think Benetton have just said that they were pretty happy with the way that they played. Like, they well and truly were competitive in a game that a lot of people didn't think they would have any chance in. So I feel like that's a massive bonus and a feather in the cap for Benetton. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the Bulls go in the next game up against either Leinster or Ulster. It's going to be on South African soil though, so that is a massive bonus. They don't have to worry about travel. Little bit of injury concern about Kurtley Ardenser, but we will soon find out whether or not he'll be alright. The show, it should be renamed the Hamish Show, to be honest. Nah, Kiwi Lads rolls off the tongue a lot better than the Hamish Show. Half the people in the chat probably don't even know how to spell Hamish, so Kiwi Lads works a lot better. Thanks for your great work, Naomi in Portugal. There's Naomi there. Thank you very much for being here. Just back only by 7. Yep. In the end, the 7-point win for the Bulls. Tough contest, but they got the job done, and they've now booked themselves their spot in the semi-final. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We're going to be back for the next live stream that is taking place in 30 minutes' time. So yeah, thank you all very much for tuning in. Rugby podcast on the cards. We've actually got one. Myself and Rugby Itch. We've got a little rugby podcast called the Rugby Recap. We're up to about episode 56 or so. Not many people know about it, but that's probably because I haven't really promoted it that much. We just talk all things Super Rugby, Six Nations, when it is on, the Rugby Championship, of course. We'll get a bit of coverage on there as well. But yeah, nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I will see you all for the next one.